Hello, tea family, and welcome. Today we are going to be creating a tea together. We're going to be blending tea together, and I have been looking forward to it up until the time I had to gather 10 million ingredients and bring them to where we do the videos because that was not as much fun. Which is why you will not see me making tea today. As you can see, my little table that I set up, which is actually a marble cutting board, is just a tiny bit, how shall we say this? Overloaded with items that we're going to use to make tea today. So, I'm going to take a sip of tea. Say hello. Let me know that you're here. Go into the comments. My handy dandy assistant will definitely let me know as people arrive so that we can do this. Let me know what you're drinking. I always love to hear what everybody's drinking, even if it's not tea. You know, somebody might be going really health conscious and doing just water. I am going to finish the tea in this. I had my last sip, but my handy dandy assistant was super sweet. Made me a cup of Serene Sunrise. I thought about having a onyx chai latte today, but got lost in something that maybe you'll see a little bit later. And yes, so that's what we're doing. Fortunately for us, it's nice and cool where we are currently going live, although this week I think today is going to be the coolest day of the week. It is in the 90s, but it's 102 with the heat index, so it's pretty hot here where I am right now. All right. Stephanie is here and she has an iced chai. I can completely understand that. That is always delicious. We usually enjoy the teas from the free samples because we ice them down, but there aren't any of those left today. I don't know. Somebody, I won't mention any names, somebody drank them all. He's sitting right over there. But anyway, welcome. We are going to get going on the tea blend.
I don't see anybody over here.
You don't see anybody over there sitting next to you, handy dandy assistant?
Nope.
Interesting. I wonder who I could be referring to. All right, well, don't let this fool you. That's not all we have. We have more containers and things like this because we do try to grow as many of the ingredients ourselves as well as use local, organic, non-GMO ingredients. So we have a whole bunch of things today. Where you can't see something right in front of you. That's what man vision is. All right. We're going to get started, and I want to talk about loosely, kind of like basics of tea blending, right? When you're going to make a tea blend, one of the things you want to think about is, typically this is done with loose leaf teas, not the powdery stuff that you get in the grocery store. You're looking at a specific flavor, or you are enjoying a certain kind of tea and you just wanted to change it up a little bit, and all those sort of things, and so you blend it yourself. Now that starts us right at the very beginning. Picking your ingredients to start is really, really important. For us, that means all organic, non-GMO. We ideally want it to come from small family farms and co-ops and different things like that. We want it to be certified USDA organic because sometimes our teas come from Japan or South Africa or places where they may have different qualifications, so it has to pass through that. So we make sure that there's basically, we're looking for just the tea, not chemicals, not unnatural or synthesized fertilizers or different things like that. We want just the tea on there. We want the flavor of the tea and nothing else. So we are really careful, and that is something that's important to us. Now, right now, I will tell you that all the tea that has been found in the U.S. that has been tested is non-GMO. Like, not genetically modified. However, tea blends don't just have tea in them. They have herbal components. They have other flavors. They may have fruits and other things that may have been genetically modified. Most of the tomatoes you get at the grocery store have been genetically modified at some point, so they're GMO. And so what I want to tell you is, for us, all the ingredients that we use, that's really, really important, because you're going to be drinking this. And so I want to be really careful and cognizant about what I'm putting in my body, and then what we're having our other members of our tea family are enjoying as well. Now, the number two thing about tea blending is, it's kind of like experimenting. I know that every year we used to have to do a science project in like middle school, and I used to dread it. I'm like, what am I gonna do? It was not. I did not enjoy all the writing that you had to do with that. Like, the experiments were always really cool, but there were so many things as we were learning the scientific method. Well, it's kind of fun now because you get to experiment. Hey, do I like this? Oh, maybe a little less of that. Maybe a little more of this. Oh, what if I added this flavor in? What would that do? And so there's a way to experiment, but I want you to keep in mind the number one thing about blending your own teas is that it's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be this dreary thing. You're supposed to enjoy it, like we're going to enjoy it today. Okay, so let's talk just a little bit more about ingredients. I talked about how we use organic, non-GMO. I want all natural ingredients here. And that's really, really important to us. Other people, not so much. Some people aren't bothered by natural or artificial flavoring. And I will tell you, they can sometimes produce, for instance, Summer Kiss is a peach tea. It is a very light tea, peach flavor to it, because I'm using real freeze-dried peaches. I'm not using a sprayed-on flavor that adds so much more that you can concentrate and make more and more concentrated, so it adds to the flavor so much more than what I can do with natural ingredients. So there's pros and cons. So you need to figure out, what ingredients you're going to use. The other thing that I'm going to talk about in this area is ingredients and tools. Those are the two more important things. But when creating a blend, the first thing you want to do, what's your base? Now, when I talk about your base, I'm talking about, do you want to make a black tea, a green tea, an oolong tea, a white tea, an herbal tea? Okay? All of these, that's true. It would be an herbal tisane as opposed to an actual tea. What we would actually want to do is have a decision, like, what do we want? So a lot of times I'll start, do I want it to be a black tea or a green tea or a white tea or whatnot? Every once in a while, though, I want my base flavor to be one of my fruits. For instance, when we were making a peach tea, I knew I wanted that to be the main ingredient. So what was I going to balance with that? So you're going to figure out what your base is. Typically, that's your type of tea or herbal, but it can be the fruit. So keep that in mind. Stephanie, did you have a question, or are you choosing, or are you saying hello? I just want. Okay. I just want to make sure if there was a question, I just want to be able to answer it. Okay. Then you have your base part of your tea. The next thing you want to think about are your flavorings, which you kind of see in the middle, and then your fruits can be your flavorings. These are what you wanted to, what you want to complement that base. So, if I'm making a lemon zinger, right? I want lemon to be my first, and I want the ginger to be my second, and then my tea is my first. So that's what we're going to do. Now, what we've found are 2 to 3 ingredients really works well. You can go to 4. We have some teas that go to 4. The more ingredients you have, the more complicated the tea is. Sometimes when you get more complicated, it tastes amazing. sometimes, many times when you get more complicated, you start to lose some of the subtle flavors unless you're using those artificial flavorings to really bring them out. So, we are one of those points where we want to always think about, like, what do we want to start with? What's our number one flavor going to be? What's our base? And then you want to have, okay, what complements and contrasts that? What do I want with that? There we go. So, all right. And then the third part of that are your tools, your scale, your scoop. Normally, if I'm making tea for y'all or to sell, I've got gloves on, different tools like that we use. I also have dishes that I use. It sounds funny, but these are all tools that I use to help me blend a new tea. But the number one tool, right here. Paper and a pen. Now, it doesn't matter if that's actual paper and a pen, which, to be fair, is what we typically do. We really use real paper and pen when we create a blend. Later, it becomes electronic, where if you know me, I always have my tablet with me, and I write a lot of notes on my tablet. I don't do that when I'm cooking, baking, or creating a tea blend. I actually like paper because I like to be able to make notes and things, and then we put it in a binder, and my handy dandy assistant named that binder the Book of Knowledge. I think we might have watched or read Harry Potter one too many times, but those are just the perks of life sometimes, especially when your eldest is addicted as a child. Let's see, she's 32 in a couple of days, and she's still pretty much addicted to Harry Potter, so I don't know. But the Book of Knowledge, we like to have everything written, because I'm always coming from the standpoint, my phone might crash, my tablet might crash, we might lose power, but dadgummit, if I have my recipes written down, I can still make whatever I want.
Now, mine might crash.
Your mind might crash. The mind of my handy dandy assistant might crash. Now, there are certain recipes like Serene Sunrise, I just know, and certain things like Emerald Garden, that is solid in my brain. I will tell you that there was one time we were making Maiden's Blush, and we could not find the recipe anywhere, and I hadn't written the backup electronically yet, and we kept trying to remember what our ratio was and how much of what, and we actually had to recreate it from scratch, but we were able to recreate it, and then when we found the paper, we're like, oh, that matched perfectly. We knew the flavor we were going for, and we got there a second time. That's always fun. All right, so let's get started. This is where it's going to get interactive. Okay, so what do we want for our base ingredient? Let's do this as a more traditional, unless, shouldn't you use a handmade pen to write in the Book of Knowledge? Well, you know what? I just so happen to have a handmade pen in the drawer on my desk. This was done by a member of my family, and so yes, this is my handmade pen that I do use.
That is maple.
It is maple. It's a curly maple. So I just don't use it on this. That is a special edition pen. Although we can put new ink in it, I still use it for special things. So what would we like to start with? What would we like our main ingredient in this tea blend that we're creating together to be?
Poison ivy.
No, we are not going to use poison ivy in our tea. You do want to make sure any ingredients that you use are not harmful. Sigh. Anyway. All right. So, floral. Okay, Stephanie's thinking of floral notes. So,
I'm thinking black.
okay. So we've got black tea, green. I have today black tea, a green tea, a white tea, and then herbal, and I have herbal ingredients. Black, white, herbal, black, green, white, or herbal. Which way do we want to start? Black tea. Okay. So I'm going to put my rooibos back.
I'm getting yelled at.
Getting yelled at. Look at that. I still had some white tea left from our leap year tea that's made every 4 years. Love that. Okay. And then I want to say this is one of my black teas. Ah, Diane wants white in there. Okay, so I have this one. All right, and this one. How bold do we want this to be? We'll need to come back. So right now, okay, we can leave white tea in there. We're not going to discriminate. So I've got white tea, and then I have 2 kinds of black tea here. We actually have 4 different kinds of black tea that we utilize, but obviously I don't have them all with me here. All right, now, don't need that green tea. Okay. Ooh, a white rose. Okay, we could do that. We could do that. All right, let's move this black down and let's put this on. White rose. So, all right. So white tea is very delicate, which is, it's amazing, but it is just super, super delicate. So we are going to want to think about that when we go to pick some of our flavorings. So I've got our white tea right here. This is peppermint. I would not recommend peppermint because I think it's going to overpower the white tea and the rose, because rose is actually a very subtle ingredient that didn't make it downstairs. Could you please go get some rose? Here. Here. Here you go. All right. See? I knew I was missing some ingredients. But, all right. So the question is, do we want peppermint in this at all? Yes or no? You tell me, because if not, I'm going to put this aside. I'm also, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the ingredients now that I have out here for flavorings. Yeah, no, I didn't think so. All right, peppermint is gone. I'm also going to say we might want, all right, so we've got white tea and we're going to have a rose. Now, rose is going to add sweetness. It's going to add a hint of floral, but it's not going to necessarily add a lot of floral. So, oh my. So one of the things that we're going to have, and I blew too hard and blew my, oh, there we go. So here's our rose. All right. It's amazing how many, when we do these things, how many little pieces that I get all over the desk. But that's okay. Do we want any fruit with it? So we have strawberries, cranberries,
kiwi.
We have peach. I think we're out of apple right now. So if we want any fruit, let me know. Let's see. You could put like a strawberry in there, but I don't know. Let's see. A white lavender. Well, so I actually have the lavender right here. Lavender is really, okay. I'm going to put this aside for a second. I saw what you put in there, Diane. Lavender is extraordinarily fragrant, and so it's like peppermint. I want to keep it contained, aromatically speaking, as much as possible so that it doesn't overwhelm what I'm trying to enjoy. And I'm actually going to put my teacup down there right there. So I'm going to leave, if we want lavender, that might be something. Now, lavender, again, super, super powerful. Very little is needed to give you a lavender base. But if you use the right amount, it will not overpower. Now, I do not have any freeze-dried raspberries, but what I do have is I had red raspberry leaf. So, do we want red raspberry leaf, which won't bring a raspberry flavor, but it will bring a sweetness to it? Or are you talking the actual raspberries? There we go. So, let me know. Meanwhile, Look, my pile of ingredients is getting smaller. All right. All right. While I'm waiting there. So, I'm thinking we could add ginger. Why don't you all, I'm going to go over some ingredients. I'm going to talk about them, and then you all put in the chat. Raspberry leaf sounds great. Okay. You put in the chat whether it's something you think you're going to want to add or not. A blue, butterfly pea flower. So will the leaf complement the rose? I would say yes. It's going to have more of a fruit sweetness to it. It's not a raspberry flavor, but it's going to add a fruit sweetness to it as opposed to our floral sweetness. The rose is going to bring a floral sweetness. So I think that could work. That could work. Butterfly pea flower, very herbal. Very herbal. And it might be too much, so I'm going to kind of put that there. We have ginger. Now, ginger is another one. Super strong. You only need a little bit, but it might contrast with some of the sweetnesses we have over here. The thing is, we'd have to be careful, make sure it doesn't overwhelm it. Let's see. I talked about the lavender. Cinnamon. Now, cinnamon can, if you add the right amount, it is just smooths out some more robust flavors. Or if you add a little bit more, it can be the contrasting flavor.
Possibly vanilla.
Yes. This is lemongrass, and lemongrass does not add lemon to something. It brings a herbal note that has a hint of lemon to it. Like, it's not really lemon flavor, but would almost like the essence of a lemon to it. It's hard to describe. More herbal. Then we have the blue cornflower, which so many people, sorry, there's a huge turkey walking across my yard right now. There's a lot of people who will be like, blue cornflowers don't actually add anything other than color to, because they are a really pretty blue. But they actually add just a subtle note of floral to things. It is not uncommon to have these match when you use a lavender, especially if you're making, or these can also get matched with bergamot when you're making an Earl's blend. A lot of times people with the Earl Greys will use them. So we have listed these. Yes to the lemongrass. Okay. Any other ones that we want to use? We have the blue coneflower, we have cinnamon, we have lavender, we have the red, I think we said the raspberry we were going to do, and we have ginger, and we have the butterfly pea flower. Are we going to try and add anything else, or are we going to stick to those four? You let me know. I am happy to create with you. Okay. I always have to give everybody time to like furiously type and things like that. All right. So white. And while you guys are doing that, and I know we have rose. The other thing is I didn't tell you is we do have orange and lemon zest right here. Yes, lemongrass is the last thing I see. All right, well, it is looking, I think lemon if we need to counter the sweet. I think the lemongrass may do that, but let's see. Were we doing lavender in this? That's the one thing I need to know more than anything. Oh my gosh. We need to counter the sweet. All right. So, we're going to put the bowl up here. Now, you all keep typing. I don't have anything other stuff going on. What I will tell you is you keep typing, and I'm going to kind of talk about the next steps. so that we can keep going and I can give you a chance to type everything in and for it to come through the internet. One of the things that I always want to tell people is that it is 2.5 grams of tea to 6 to 8 ounces of water. So when we try a new blend, we always try to go for the magic 2.5 grams total. Every once in a while, we'll have to go to 3 grams, and then we only take 2.5 grams of it per serving. But we want to try and come in with that blend for that perfect cup. Now,
Stephanie says only if it doesn't overpower the ropes.
let's see where we are with this. We've got a white tea, so it's going to be really light. That should be interesting. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to make sure my scale is in grams. And it is. And I actually have 2 of these china bowls. If you look, this one actually is cracked. And the crack goes all the way through. So literally, at any point when this is being washed by my handy dandy assistant, it could break. But until then, I'm using it every time to make my tea. I want to get as much use out of it as possible before I can't use it anymore. Okay. So, here's where the guessing game starts. We actually have 4 very subtle flavors here, so we don't have to worry about, okay. The 4 flavors that we have here are very subtle, so we do not have to worry about them overpowering anything. The lavender is the only one that we would potentially have to watch out for. And this is where I like to say, especially if I'm starting with something really strong like a peppermint or a lavender especially, we have 2.5 grams. A lot of times I will start at 0.1 grams of the lavender, but I'm going to wait to the end. And that's another trick I will tell you is wait to the end to add that most powerful item. Okay, so, we want the white tea. So I'm going to say, and this is what we do. It's a guessing game. So let's start with 0.8 grams. And these are really big, so. We're going to start with 0.8 grams. Okay. And I'm just going to make a note. 0.8 grams of the white rose, of the white tea. Yep. And then rose is actually can become very powerful. So I would probably do like a, you know what, I think I will go with, put this back on here. I think I'm going to go with 1.2 grams of the white, just because it's so light. And I try never to break a leaf. Okay. That actually went to 1.3 exactly, so I'm just going to go 1.3. And then the rose, I'm going to go probably a 0.6.
I'd say 0.3.
Okay, well, we'll split the difference and we'll go 0.5, which was my initial gut. Okay, so the rose will go a 0.5. Babe, could you get the kettle down now that I think about it?
What? Make me work.
I know. I'm making them work, everybody. Okay, so I have 1.8. All right, so here's where I would say red raspberry. I would probably do the red raspberry leaf. I would probably do a 0.3. It is super subtle. It also, it's just going to add, you actually need quite a bit to bring the flavor really up. So we're going to do 0.3. That brings me to 2.1. So lemongrass, 2.1. If I do 0.1 of this, 2.2, 0.3 lemongrass. Lemongrass is super light. So you'll add it in. Okay, and now I've got 0.3 of this. And we'll go lavender, 0.1. Okay, so before I add the lavender, it's fun when I get to actually use my hands the very first time because we're not serving it to anybody. I have to say I love the colors I'm seeing in here. It looks absolutely beautiful. All right, now we're gonna go with the lavender. And if you look,
I got the whole shebang. I need the cup.
Yep. If you look, that is all we need for the 0.1 grams of lavender. All right. So now I'm going to mix it around some more. Like it just looks really, really pretty. Just really pretty. Okay. So I have my 2.5 grams and have my ingredients plus the extra that I spilled. Because, you know, that's what happens. Okay. So when I smell this, I'm getting white. Okay, so here's how my brain works. I smell the white tea. I can taste the white tea, but it smells like I'm drinking plain white tea in a flower store, an actual florist shop. If you've ever walked in, they have like that smell of like roses and carnations and things like that, but it's usually a very light smell. It's very light here, and it's not overpowering the white. This should be very nice. So, my handy dandy assistant, is that set for a green?
175. Yes. No, it's white tea, not a green.
Okay, it's set for a white tea. So he is going ahead. I don't think the 0.1 gram, I'm not getting a lot of lavender smell. So I think we are going to be good with that much. I think any more than that, it could be iffy. But yes. I love how Stephanie's just jumping in like, we're going to call this White Garden. I love it. I love it.
White bloomers?
Because names are hard because you want to kind of, I love creating names that catch some part of the essence of the tea. That is all set if you are ready. So we have done this. Again, last look, really pretty. Okay. I am ready. And that's typically what I do. I leave one on the tear and I mix it all in another one. Yep. Go ahead. Brew, right? Yep. Alrighty then. We're gonna let this brew. Looks super pretty. I use my Irish cup, so but literally that's kind of how we do. Very pretty. No. Oh. I was like, wait, what happened? What did I do? I was looking away. See, I look away from the comments, and my handy dandy assistant goes crazy. But yeah, so like I get some of those floral notes, but they're subtle floral. They're not overpowering because I first got the tea and I could taste the tea, and then it had the other note to it, which is one of the things I love is you'd be surprised you could take this, right, and you're like, oh, the next step is the last step, which is brewing and tasting. So we're brewing it right now, and then we're going to taste it, and then we start to play with it again. Oh, maybe a little more rose. Oh, maybe we don't need a lavender. Oh, a little more lavender, lemongrass would be great. And you start to play with it. And then one of the best parts, what a pretty color.
Sigh.
One of the best notes. See that? Look at that pretty color. I'll let this cool for just a second. Is tasting it and trying it, and I love handing it out to tasters. I love getting their feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, when we created the leap spring tea, I know the color's amazing, Stephanie. The first one we sent out, it just wasn't right. It didn't hit the note, and then we came back and we brought another ingredient in, and it was like, that's it, that's what we wanted. And it's amazing how that happens, and you get other people, because you can get so into, but I really wanted it to have red raspberry leaf in it, and it just doesn't work. Sometimes you have to go with what doesn't work. So show the leaves. These are the leaves. You can see they're pretty big. Okay. Definitely tell it's a white tea. Okay. Wow. Um, Definitely a complex flavor, believe it or not. I'm not tasting a lot of the rose. I am tasting. um, I am tasting the white tea. Um,
I got the rose right at the beginning.
yeah, it's just not very. I mean, I'm tasting the ingredients, but it's just a. Okay, a white tea bouquet is the best way I can describe it right now. Floral notes, but definitely a white tea base. It tastes absolutely delicious. Just the right amount of lavender pulls away from some of the sweetness. If I was going to adjust it at all, I might pull back on the red raspberry leaves just a little bit, because I don't think they're needed as much, and by like a tenth of a gram, and add another tenth of a gram of the rose in it, just because I really wanted a little bit more rose to it, but that's a personal preference. So there you go. That's it. And what I'm going to do is, for the two of you that helped create this, I will create a pack, and I will ship it out or get it to you, and you can actually try. I will put it in a tea bag, and you can actually try the tea we created today. And that's right, Stephanie. We can always enjoy more roses. But I will actually make a sample up for each of you with this. We can use Stephanie's name of the White Garden, and we will definitely. I like it. It is. It's so. It's delicate. It's delicate, but it's really tasty. Lots of little flavors in there, but they're complementing each other well. So, all right, y'all stayed on, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I hope you had fun. I hope you had a lot of fun going ahead as we figured out what we were going to make and making this tea together. I know I'm going to enjoy drinking it.
I actually made it too.
Yeah, we actually made it. But I did talk last week that ideally we were going to shoot for the 1st of August to start um, a giveaway. It's probably going to be pushed to a little bit more towards the middle of August, only because my schedule just kind of went crazy last week. Yes, 70. I absolutely, that's the thing. In the evening is typically when I love my green teas or a white tea or something just really delicate and nice to relax with. This is really, really nice. And that white tea does not have a ton of caffeine. Okay, so I haven't finished, I haven't been able to finish making the tea bag yet for the giveaway. That's going to have a mug in it, and it's going to have some tea in it and some other things. But I did want to give you all just a little look. And I'm looking for the thing that's going to show you what it's going to look like overall. But my desk is really like stacked with paperwork right now. Okay, well, we're going to do it this way. So this, I was literally sewing today. This is what it's going to look like for the main part of the bag. This is the top, and you'll see that there are little places where we'll put some ribbon or something like that. And then this is the main part of the bag. And then the bottom is going to be a matching. So can you all see that well? Hopefully you can. It's going to look like this. So this fabric that I'm holding up is going to be the bottom. And then that dark part with the teapots on it, which are super cute, is going to be the middle. And then this top is how it's all going to come together. And then the top is going to have like a little handle, and it's going to have a flap. And I did embroider the flap today. So that's what it's going to look like. Just a cute little flap. So that's what the bag is going to look like. I'm really sad that I cannot find in my craziness what the actual thing is going to look like. Probably because I buried it a little bit too well with all my stuff today, getting it ready. Pip, do you see?
Nope.
Okay, well that was helpful. Oh, see. Aha! Now I'll be able to show you what the bag looks like.
It's right there.
We look behind the curtain. This is what it's actually going to look like. So instead of having the light color in the middle, I decided I wanted to go with the teapot. I had a really cute teapot fabric. I went ivory, kind of a beige ivory on top, and then the bottom, I had this fabric. Can you hold this for a sec? I had this fabric. Hang on. Just hold this right here. So like this, with this on top, kind of flipping over. But I had this fabric for quite a while, and I just feel like it really complements the teapots so well with the colors and everything. So I thought that would be the perfect for the bottom. And when it's the bottom of a bag, you know it's going to get dirty. Okay, thank you so much. So anyway, this is what it's going to look like. It is a little, you could use it as a purse, but basically it's supposed to be, you put your teacup or your mug and your stuff to make your tea in there, and then it's a little tea carrier. But you could use it as a pocketbook, yes, or a purse. Depending on where in the country you grew up, it's always going to be a pocketbook to me, which did set me up for quite a bit of teasing when I lived in the Southeast. So that's what it's going to look like. A little drawstring on the top just so the stuff won't move. That is going to be part of the giveaway. It is going to be moved till about the middle of August. Just ran into a lack of time to kind of get everything done. So, East Coast pocketbook. You know, it's not just the East Coast. I really think it's the Northeast, Stephanie, because in the Southeast, they call it, they don't call it a purse either. They call it something else. Yeah, I think they call it the your bag. They might call it a purse down there, but like it's different regions call everything different things. But that is the one thing. I do call this an ink pen as opposed to in the north. I learned to call it a pen, but I call it an ink pen in the Southeast. That's what they call it. It makes sense in my brain. I've adapted a lot of my language to the different regions where I've lived. However, it is always going to be a pocketbook. Yeah, that's the other one that we still get caught up on. There's two things that I have not given up from my Northeast Yankee upbringing. Number one is that it is a pocketbook as opposed to a purse or a bag or anything like
Of
that.
course.
And number two, um, when we go into the grocery store, it is a carriage. It's a shopping carriage. Um, they call it a cart here in the Midwest, and then the Southeast they call it a buggy. So we always, but it's still a carriage to me. Like, oh, did you get it? Because Rich will ask me, we need a big carriage or a small carriage? And I'll be like, we just need a small carriage today. We're not getting anything much, and we don't call it a cart. So many people call it a cart, but anyway. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. Thanks for helping me create this tea. I will do my best to get this mailed out on Tuesday. I will be depending on my handy dandy assistant tomorrow to make these up. I do have the recipe written. This is why we do a recipe. And hopefully he'll be able to mail it out on Tuesday and get it to everybody. I want to say thanks for joining me. Next week, I'm not sure what we're doing next week yet. I think next week's going to be a surprise. I think it's going to be a surprise. Feel free to shoot me an idea for a topic that you want me to talk about on the live, but we will be going live next Sunday.
Brisket.
All right, we're not going to there's no such thing as brisket tea. I can talk about what teas to pair with a brisket, but there's no brisket tea. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful week. If you are in the Midwest like I am, please try and stay cool. I understand it's going to be like 109 on Thursday when he's going to go to the market for me because I'll be out of town for work. So everybody stay cool, stay healthy, and I will see you next Sunday.